Welcome back. In this lesson, we are going to look at the idea of op art. We are going to be making this picture, and we just got done talking in class about Bridget Riley and the op art movement. Some of the things we talked about in class were line, shape, and color. Here it is clear and obvious that we are dealing with line, but we are also dealing with shapes, the empty parts, and the shape of the line, and how those parts will influence the overall drawing. Later on, we'll talk about color and how we can use color to make our op art even more three-dimensional. Okay? To get started, you'll need a pencil, a permanent marker of some sort, and your white sheet of paper like this. You will also need a mat or some other kind of paper to slide underneath your work so that as you go off the edge of your paper, you're not creating marks on the table. To get started, please write your name. My name is Mr. Lundgren, so write your name. Then write your grade number and your homeroom teacher's name on the back. Once you have that completed, flip your paper over and give me a thumbs up. Then start at about the middle of your page and make a curvy line. Don't make your curves too tight together and not too flat and far apart. Then take about 7 to 9 dots. I'm going to start 1, 2, you can put them closer together or farther apart, it doesn't matter. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So somewhere between 7, 8, or 9. Then you could use your pencil if you want to, or you can start with your permanent marker. I'm going to start with my permanent marker to save time, but you can take your pencil and start with your first dot and make a curved, gentle line from that dot to your next dot. Then repeat the process from one dot to the next, one dot to the next, and the next, and the next, to make kind of a bumpy line like this. Now at the end, you can take from this dot and go curving off the page, imagining your dot is somewhere out here. Same thing at the beginning here, curve your dot and imagine that your other dot is somewhere off the page. Okay? Now, I want you to choose 2 of our columns that are going to be wider than the others. So for example, this column here is wider. You can see how it makes this column here appear to be squished. Alright, so I want you to pick 2 columns at least. And you're going to start with those, and you're going to start from that dot and back down to the other dot. Up to the other dot, down to the other dot. And keep doing this all the while making your curves a little bigger until they go off the page. There's one column, and I'm going to choose this column here just so we can get our squished effect. And notice I'm using only curved lines. Now I've got my 2 biggest columns. And then in between here, I'm going to do my best to keep this line squished yet curved, always coming back to this line here. And at some point I'm going to run into this one over here. And once I do that, I'm going to continue those curves and pretend they go up off the page. Now I've got this little teensy one in here that got squished. And I'm going to take this and just do it back and forth until I reach the top, and it looks like my line got squished in between those other ones. Now, if you want to, you can choose one more to make big and squish some others, or you can just keep these other sides regular. Notice how each time I'm coming back and like kind of lining myself up with that dot. I'm trying to keep my curves curvy to make sure they feel like they're curving. And as we start to color this, that will also enhance the three-dimensional qualities of it. Okay, so there we have the top half. We have one big one and another big one here that is going to lead to some squishing in the middle. Now, rotate your paper 180 degrees and repeat the process on the top side. I'm going to choose this one that got squished to be my big one, and I'm going to choose this big one to be my squished one. So I'm going to make this one over here to be a big one, and then we'll have our squish in the middle. Okay, so here we go. You can notice how my line goes right up off the edge of the paper there. Okay, now this one we're going to create as our bigger one. Alright, now I'm going to take this one and make it slightly big and make sure that it runs into my big one here. And I'll take this one and squish it here. Oops, I made a mistake. I wanted this one to be squished. Oh well. I guess never perfect. Alright, and I'll have this one be big. And this one be our squished one. Like that, and this one over here. You can notice I'm almost just using this extra sheet there to color my sides off. Now that I have that finished, I'm going to go back with my eraser and erase this central line so we have some more ovally like shapes in the center rather than just one curving line. Okay, and that's going to give us that column effect. Now we can change the colors from top to bottom, or we can kind of keep them similar, but that's going to kind of leave that like weird quality to them. Now here I'm just going to go back and take my permanent marker and kind of clean up these edges so that they look less like dot areas and more like I intended them to be full shapes. And I'm just going back over now to just make sure all my quick lines look very neat and deliberate, because I want them to look like I want them. No scribbly permanent marker lines, but rather nice quality artwork. Okay, there we go. So that concludes how to finish the line portion of our op art picture. Next time we're going to come back and we'll talk about the shapes and how we can create the color and pattern to make our op art look really three-dimensional.